All right, we're continuing on with our compare strings application. And in this version, we're going to cover using if, else if, and if statements. Now, currently our application is checking to see if the two strings are equal, but this is a case-sensitive comparator. What if we want to check and see if the strings are equal even if their case is not equal? Let me show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and run this again. If I type in hello, and hello again, and I hit the compare button, it says strings are equal. But if I change the case of the first hello and put in a capital H and hit compare, it says they're not equal. But in many cases, we would still want this to be true. So I'm going to go ahead and quit this. So InnoString has a method called localized case insensitive compare, and that'll do exactly what we're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is say that strings are exactly equal in our first comparison, because if they are, that means that if this returns true, these two strings are exactly the same. They have the same case and everything. So we're going to come down here and we're going to add in an else if statement. So we're going to say else if, and then it's going to give us another condition. Now in this condition, we're going to say is string 1, and then we're going to use that new method, localized case insensitive compare. And the string we're going to give it is string 2. And I'll close that off with a brace. And here we're going to want to say text field results, and we're going to set the string value. And this time we're going to say strings are equal, but their case is different. And then I'm going to remove this brace down here that we don't need. Let's go ahead and open this up just a little bit so we can see all that. So let's take a look at this and make sure you understand what's going to happen. We're going to test and see, is string 1, is it equal to string 2, case sensitive comparing? If that's true, it's going to come back and fill our text field with strings are exactly equal. If that's not true, it's going to go down to the next statement. And it's going to say else if, and then it's going to do another comparison. String 1, localized case insensitive compare, using that method, using as a parameter string 2. Now if that comes back true, they're both the same, but their cases are different. So then we're going to set our text field, the text field results, to strings are equal, but their case is different. And if neither one of those results come back true, then it will default to the value of the else statement. Then our text field will just be set with strings are not equal. Now there's one slight change I would like to make to our GUI application before we run this, because I don't think that the strings are equal but their case is different is going to fit inside that text field. So let's go back to Interface Builder, and let's go up to our text fields. And if we go over to the right-hand side in the inspector, under the Size tab, then we can come down under our Auto Sizing. We'll click on the horizontal bar in the middle, and we're also going to anchor it to the right-hand side. So this will anchor to the top, the left, and the right, and also resize left and right. So to resize as the window is being resized. I'm going to do the same thing with the next text field, and also with our label text field, which is our result. And the last thing I want to do is take the button, and I want to make sure that the button is anchored to the bottom right-hand side of the window instead of the top left. Okay, now that we have the button set to the right-hand side of the window, the bottom right, I also want to go over to the very left tab, to the button Attributes. And I want to come down to the key equivalent. I'm going to click inside this box, and I'm going to select the Enter key on my keyboard. Now that's going to turn that button blue. So when our application is running, we can just hit the Enter key and it will execute that instead of having to click on it with our mouse. So let's go ahead and save here. Go back to Xcode and build and run. And we'll type in hello, and hello again, and strings are exactly equal. Let's change this one to a capital H, and strings are not equal. So we have an error. Well, that's good. You need to see errors sometimes. Let's go ahead and quit that and go back and see what we did wrong. I'm going to move this over. Okay, so localized case insensitive compare. Okay, I see what it is. The method localized case insensitive compare returns one of three values, either a -1, a 0, or a 1. And what we're wanting to check for, is it a 0? So that's what we missed. So we're going to put string 1 localized case insensitive compare, string 2. That method will return a value. And what we're going to do is check that value and say, is it equal, the two equal signs, to 0? So let's go ahead and run this again. I think this is going to take care of it. So I'll type in a capital H this time. And there we go. Strings are equal, but their case is different. So now we'll type in goodbye, and we can see that strings are not equal. So another capital, and strings are exactly equal. So there we go. Now we've built an application. We've used the if, else if, and else statement to check our work. We made a mistake. We went back to the code and saw what we did wrong, and we fixed it, and we ran it again, and everything's working. So we're going to continue building applications in our next video, and we're going to be covering the ternary operator.